Thank you for joining a conversation about practicing the words, works, and ways of Jesus. I'm Steve Griffin, and this is Formation Through Following. Hey friends, let's talk about a couple more problems with eternal conscious torment. First up is a hellacious teleological problem. Teleological. That's just a fancy word that has to do with existence, the essence of things, meaning, things like that. And I propose to you that eternal conscious torment is teleologically absurd. There is no possible end or goal or purpose for eternal conscious torment. There's no telos when it comes to duration. It's eternal. So there's no terminus. It's after a trillion years, it has scarcely begun. I mean, what does begin even mean if there is no middle, if there is no end? No telos when it comes to duration. But also, there's no teleological element of design, because there is no end, purpose, or goal. There is no reason or rationale. Only tortured subsistence. Our government, I think this is fairly well known, our government has engaged in torture. And to my knowledge, the torture that I'm aware of was done for the purpose. It was designed to get information. And some people thought, well, maybe the ends will justify the means. But what I'm trying to get across to you is if it's eternal conscious torment that we're talking about, there is no design, there is no purpose. God would not be trying to elicit or get anything from you. It's just torture. It is torment for torment's sake. And it seems to me that torture, in and of itself and for its own sake, is meaningless, irrational, and yes, evil. Eternal conscious torment, teleologically speaking, it's intolerable. Now there's a second hellacious problem, and that is moral. Now I'm thinking about this in two ways. First of all, how can finite sinning, and what I mean by that, it's obviously, you think of the most evil, heinous person that you can imagine. This person, even if they lived to be 110, all of their sinning, all of the things that they have done and thought and said, it would be finite. It would be limited to those 110 years, assuming they were sinning from birth. How can that morally justify infinite punishing? Do you see the point that I'm making? Finite sinning could never earn or deserve infinite punishing. No matter how evil, no matter how old. Infinity could never be earned, merited, deserved. And then my second moral conundrum doesn't involve the person who was doing the suffering, but the person who is doing the afflicting. What kind of person would keep a human alive for no other reason but to burn them alive? That is, we have, in eternal conscious torment, we have a God who is keeping human beings alive so that he may burn them alive forever. What kind of person would do that? Now, in my mind, there's no question that it would be God who would have to keep this human alive, because I believe that we have no existence, even now. We have no existence apart from God. The Apostle Paul said it to the Greek philosophers on Mars Hill. Paul says, in God we live and move and have our being. So God is the ground of being. There is no existence apart from him. Is Jesus the kind of person who would keep us alive so that he could torture us by burning us? Some things for us to think about. How has the church used the doctrine or the threat of eternal conscious torment historically and contemporaneously to control and manipulate people? Fear-based religion. Fear is a very powerful motivator. I believe the Lord Jesus Christ wants to free us from the fear of death and hell and judgment. But it's been a powerful tool, and it still is. The second thing I'd like you to think about, what's your picture of God? I mean, that's what I've been getting at. What's your picture of God? Is he a torturer? Because here's the thing. We become like what we worship. I'll say that again. We become like what we worship. I want to end with this quote from a person named R.C. Sproul. R.C. Sproul was a very well-respected theologian, a Calvinist. and I've read probably 5 or 6 of his books. I've listened to him talk many times. He's a top shelf Calvinist thinker. Now remember what I'm saying. We become like what we worship. Now listen to this quote from R.C. Sproul. When you're in heaven, you will be so sanctified that you will be able to see your own mother in hell and rejoice in that, knowing that God's perfect justice is being carried out. End quote. That's a pretty monstrous God there. Well, that's all for now. Leave a comment or question and join the conversation. Until next time, show the world a Jesus-looking God.